In this video, we are going to talk about something that affects all of us every day in the supermarket, at the gas station, in our electricity bills, our rent, our paychecks, and even our plans for the future. This is the story of inflation, a quiet force that can slowly change the way we live, work, and dream. This story is told slowly and clearly, so you can improve your English while learning something truly important. Let's begin. Let's start with a simple moment. You walk into a store with a $20 bill. A few years ago, that money could buy you a good bag of groceries, some fruits, bread, milk, eggs, and maybe a small treat. But today, with the same $20, you leave with only a few items in your bag. What happened? Did the products change? Did you change? Not really. What changed was the value of your money. That's inflation. It means that the money you have slowly loses its power. It buys less and less over time. And it doesn't just happen to one item. It happens to almost everything. Food, gas, clothes, rent, medicine, services. You are still working. You are still trying. But everything around you is getting more expensive. That's why many people today feel stuck. They are running, but getting nowhere. But why is this happening? What causes prices to go up like this? And why is it happening now in so many countries at the same time? To answer that, we have to go deeper into history, economics, human behavior, and global events. Let's first understand what inflation really is. Inflation is not just prices going up. It's the decrease in the purchasing power of money. In other words, money loses its value. What you could buy with $1 last year may now cost $1.05, or $1.10, or more. If prices rise by 10% and your salary stays the same, you are 10% poorer. Not because you spent too much, not because you made a mistake, but simply because the value of money changed. Why does this happen? One classic explanation is too much money chasing too few goods. Let's say a small town has 100 people and a total of $10,000 in circulation. Prices are stable. Now imagine that suddenly the government gives everyone more money, maybe another $10,000 total, but the number of goods in the store doesn't change. People now have more money to spend, but the same amount of food, clothes, and services are available. What happens? The demand goes up. People are ready to pay more. So prices rise. Now let's apply that to the real world. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many governments gave direct cash payments to people. It was necessary. Millions lost their jobs, businesses closed, and families needed help. But this injected a large amount of money into the economy, very quickly. At the same time, factories closed due to lockdowns. Shipping was delayed. Workers stayed home. So the number of available goods decreased, while the money in people's hands increased. That was the perfect recipe for inflation. But there's more. During the pandemic, people changed how they spent money. Instead of going out to restaurants or traveling, they bought more physical goods, electronics, home gym equipment, furniture, groceries. Online shopping exploded. The sudden change in demand created shortages. And shortages create higher prices. Then came supply chain problems. Remember when a giant ship got stuck in the Suez Canal? That was just one example. Across the world, containers were in the wrong places. Ports were full. Trucks and workers were missing. Factories in Asia couldn't get parts. So even when people had money to spend, the products simply weren't available. This pushed prices even higher. Next came energy shocks. In 2022, the war in Ukraine disrupted global oil and gas supplies. Russia is one of the world's biggest energy exporters. When countries stopped buying Russian oil, energy prices jumped. And when energy becomes more expensive, everything becomes more expensive because energy is used in transportation, farming, production, heating, lighting, and more. This is called cost-push inflation. When the cost of producing goods rises and companies pass that cost on to customers, you are not buying more, but you're paying more because it costs more just to make and move things. So we have money. Printing, supply chain chaos, energy shocks, all happening around the same time. That's why inflation didn't just happen in one country. It happened across the world. In the US, in Europe, in Latin America, in Asia. For the first time in decades, inflation became a global experience. Now let's pause and imagine how this feels for a normal family. You wake up and check your bank account. You have the same salary you did last year, but your rent has increased. Your electricity bill is higher. A gallon of gas costs more. You go to the supermarket and you can't believe how much you're paying for eggs, for fruit, for coffee. You try to cut back. You stop going out. You cancel your vacation. You tell your kids, not this year. You feel frustrated because you're working hard, but somehow falling behind. That is what inflation feels like. It's not just economic. It's emotional. Now think about small businesses. They have to pay more for ingredients, fuel, packaging, labor. They don't want to raise prices. They know customers are struggling. 2, but they have no choice. Some raise prices. Others reduce staff. Some close down. Inflation creates stress for everyone. And for retirees, people who worked all their lives and saved money. Inflation is cruel. They live on fixed incomes. If inflation is 7% and their pension stays the same, it's like losing 7% of their money every year. Their careful planning doesn't protect them anymore. Now, let's talk about how governments respond to inflation. The main tool is interest rates. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the U.S., raise interest rates to make borrowing more expensive. That means fewer people take loans. Businesses slow down. People spend less. And when spending slows, prices stabilize. But this tool has side effects. High interest rates can cause recessions. Companies stop expanding. Jobs are lost. Housing markets slow down. People stop buying homes or cars. The whole economy cools. So central banks must act carefully. Raise rates enough to control inflation, but not so much that they break the economy. Let's also talk about expectations. Inflation isn't just about prices. It's also about what people think will happen. If people believe prices will rise, they start acting differently. They buy early. They ask for higher wages. Businesses raise prices in anticipation. That belief alone can make inflation worse. It's called a self-fulfilling cycle. That's why trust is critical. If people trust that the central bank will control inflation, then expectations stay low. But if trust breaks, if people think inflation will continue forever, then the system becomes unstable. That's when we see crisis, Let's look at history. In the 1970s, the U.S. faced very high inflation. Oil shocks, government spending, and weak policies led to a crisis. Inflation was over 13%. It took strong action, including very high interest rates, to bring it under control. Those actions caused a recession, but they restored trust in the system. In other countries, like Argentina or Venezuela, inflation has been a constant problem. In Argentina, prices can rise by over 100% per year. People rush to spend money before it loses value. They don't save in their own currency. They use dollars or even crypto. In Venezuela, at one point, prices were doubling every few days. People stopped counting money. They waited instead. These stories remind us inflation can destroy savings, hurt the poor, scare investors, and weaken economies. But when managed well, inflation can be controlled. It's a challenge, not a curse. So now let's ask, what can you do? First, stay informed. Don't panic, but understand what's happening. Know how inflation works. Know what your government and central bank are doing. This knowledge helps you make better decisions. Second, avoid holding too much cash. In times of high inflation, money loses value. Consider investments that can grow, like real estate, businesses, stocks, or education. Third, increase your value. Learn new skills. Improve your English. Study something useful. When prices rise, people with high demand skills often earn more. That's how you protect yourself. Fourth, be flexible. Maybe move to a cheaper city. Cook more at home. Delay big purchases. It's not always easy, but it helps you adapt. Fifth, talk about it. Inflation affects everyone. Share your story. Learn from others. Help each other. Communities that communicate often survive better. And finally, don't give up. Inflation comes in waves. It may take months or years to get better, but history shows it does get better. With the right actions, patience, and awareness, we all move forward. So now you understand inflation, not just as a word, but as a force, something powerful, invisible, and real. You've learned how it starts, how it spreads, how it hurts, and how it can be controlled. You've heard the stories of families, workers, governments, and nations. And you've learned what you can do. Thank you for joining me today. If this story helped you understand inflation and helped you practice your English, please subscribe, like, and share it with others. On Gentle and Clear English, we tell real stories slowly and clearly to help you grow your confidence and your vocabulary. See you in the next one.